Welcome back to British Stand. I hope you're all well after last night's reveal. Of course, this is an absolute car crash, isn't it? It's an absolute car crash. And I want to speak about it a little bit more today, as a bit more revelations have came out with regard to this whole reform civil war after Rupert Lowe, of course, was suspended. I've taken a look at how people are feeling, how people are reacting, and it really doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all in terms of the reform movement at this moment in time. I also want to speak a little bit more about Rupert Lowe and potentially his future as well. So yeah, let's have a conversation, guys. Get involved in the live chat. Let me know what you think on all of it and what has gone on with regard to yesterday and this morning, as it has continued over today as well. And we're going to go through a bit of a spat between Lee Anderson and Rupert Lowe that happened a couple of hours ago, and yeah, speak about what this means. But guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and get involved. Unless you've been living under a rock, you'll already know, of course, that Rupert Lowe has been suspended, and apparently an investigation is ongoing into his conduct as such. Now, a lot of people are screaming that this is almost a backstab job, and a lot of people have theories that, of course, Nigel Farage has a huge ego, Rupert Lowe is extremely popular, and Nigel Farage didn't want him to be there. I mean, it was very, very fishy, and the whole thing with Zia Youssef as well. I've seen polls on social media losing lots and lots of confidence, not just for reform, but for Zia Youssef. Now, this morning, a lot of stuff carried on with regard to Rupert Lowe and Lee Anderson. We're going to go through that now. And as you can see there in a statement this morning from Lee Anderson, he came out and stated, at Reform UK, we have a monumental task on our hands in order to save our country. There is a huge amount of pressure on Nigel and our team to deliver for the British public. I did not come into politics for personal gain. Like my colleagues, I stepped forward because I wanted to help save my country. Joining Reform UK is the best thing I have ever done in politics, and this is our last chance to turn things around in our country. But politics is a team and a game, and we must work as a team. I was the first ever Reform UK MP, and my first loyalty will always be to my country. I have had a great deal of respect for Rupert Lowe, and as his chief whip, I have bent over backwards, to be fair, with him since he entered Parliament. But his unwillingness to cooperate in investigation into his behaviour was meant parliamentary party cannot function effectively whilst Rupert is a Reform UK MP. There is far too much at stake, and by not taking decisive action, we would risk losing everything we have built up. I bear no malice towards Rupert, and to remove the whip was a deeply painful thing to do, but the delivering for our country must come first, and no man is bigger than our party. And then, of course, Rupert Lowe did reply this. He stated, Lee, what you've said is simply not true. I've spoken to the KC multiple times over the last weeks. Last week, she has confirmed again and again that no credible evidence against me and has been provided to her by you or the party. I must have had 10 different conversations with her. To say I've not cooperated is false. That is an outright lie. Launching this vindictive assault before an investigation has even started is quite frankly pathetic. Our members, supporters and country deserve so much better than this. I thought you were a friend. Evidently, I was wrong. So it is getting fairly deep in terms of this stat, the MPs issuing statements, and Rupert Lowe really does feel rubbed the wrong way with regard to all of this. And I've seen a lot of social media backing for Rupert Lowe, and to be honest with you, I have seen it to a level where it's almost seems as though Rupert Lowe is more popular than Nigel Farage on X. Maybe I've got a different algorithm or whatever, but I've seen a lot of Reform supporters, members, cancel their actual memberships due to this situation that is currently ongoing. It seems as though a lot of things are falling apart. Now, I couldn't get the most recent poll, but this was a recent poll in itself. And you can see that over the last couple of weeks, there has been, last couple of months, we've seen the momentum Reform have built. And in recent polls, you will see them lead the other political parties. Reform with 27%, Labour 25%, Conservatives 21%, etc., etc. And every single recent poll and voting intention poll has showcased this result. So momentum was firmly with Reform, and momentum had gathered. However, after looking last night and seeing the sheer volume of people turning their back on reform due to this decision is quite alarming. It really doesn't look good for the political party. Now, the situation is, you could see it, well, it could just be a blip in the road and they'll get over it. Whether Rupert Lowe comes back to the party or not, the party will survive, and maybe, and just maybe, they'll of course keep on driving forward. But as stated, I'm even looking a lot of comments on yesterday's video when we announced it, that a lot of the viewers here at British Stand and a lot of the viewers on Twitter and X, or Twitter or X should I say rather, are really against this. They're massively against this. This is almost like the final nail in the coffin. You know, we've seen a lot with regard to Nigel Farage and people questioning him. We've seen Elon Musk even questioning him at the start of the year. So a lot of people have actually questioned whether Nigel Farage is actually good enough to be the future Prime Minister and lead this party going forward. And I'm just starting to see loads and loads of cracks appear from this whole spat with Rupert Lowe over the last, 24 to 48 hours. There is a lot of cracks emerging, and it really, really does not look good at this moment in time for reform. Now, I'm even sitting now here, again, as somebody that, again, I put myself out there and said that I do believe Reform are the only political party to save this country. And I said that I back them entirely. Even the thing, you know, I'm a supporter of Tommy Robinson. Even the thing with Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson, I was still, you know what, it's about the country first. I didn't like Nigel's comments about Tommy, but I was thinking for the bigger picture in this. But this whole situation just stinks to me. It really does stink with regard to Rupert Lowe. I genuinely do believe that Rupert Lowe is the best MP there is in the whole of Parliament, and was certainly the best in the Reform Party. I genuinely stand by that. I think he asks the hard-hitting questions, and a lot of his views align with me, and probably a lot of yourselves. So it was a really gutting blow, and I'm not the only one here. There's loads of people. There are so many people now questioning what is best now moving forward. What is the best moving forward? Can you trust Nigel Farage as such? If it's going to be this petty? I mean, there's memes coming out of Nigel Farage now about his dog. People saying that his dog's grown so popular they're going to have to put his dog down. I seen that meme this morning. Look, people ripping the piss out of Nigel Farage, thinking that his ego can't handle it. I seen Katie Hopkins, of course, come out with a video as well. So there was a lot of people questioning Nigel Farage at this moment in time, and it really does not look good for Reform, especially as they are riding a current wave. And it's not as if, look, they are well in front at this moment in time in terms of the voting intention polls, but look, it's not that far away. You know, you lose a big percentage of your voters due to stupid decisions like this or stupid spats like this, then all of a sudden you're back on the back foot again. And again, I think the Conservatives, and people don't necessarily like the Conservatives. I'm not coming out as a Tory fan, by the way. I'm not coming out as a Tory fan. Don't worry. Calm down. But I think that they could do something pretty big here by, if they've currently got Robert Jenrick in their party. If they went in and got Rupert Lowe, that could change the whole playing field massively. Because I genuinely do believe Rupert Lowe is the best MP in the whole of Parliament, not just the Reform Party. I genuinely think that would be a massive coup, and I don't think he would go there necessarily, but again, that could be an opportunity for them should he permanently leave the party, which it doesn't look good. A lot of bridges look to have been burnt during this public spat. All of this stuff should have been dealt with behind closed doors and not been put into the public domain in general. So, yeah, I mean, it's gutting to see. It is really, really gutting to see. And it's really gutting to see that this movement, I suppose, the Reform movement, is almost falling apart a little bit, you know, and whilst it might just be a blip in the road and people might say in a year, 2 years, oh, well, it happened, blah, blah, and the momentum may continue, it does show a lot of cracks, which I'm not that comfortable with. But I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts, guys, in the live chat. And I also want to mention the thing with Rupert Lowe as well. He's a guy who genuinely cares. A lot of people say they get into politics and try and say the right words. Oh, I got into politics because I want to make a change. I know that's the party line that everybody says, right? But Rupert Lowe genuinely does that. I mean, he's a wealthy businessman in his own right, and he donates his wage, his parliamentary wage, every single month to charity. He doesn't even get paid. He's paying. He isn't he's paying to do the job. He's paying so he can do it. He just donates his whole wage every single month and shows evidence of doing so. That's a guy that genuinely cares, and a guy that doesn't really care. He doesn't really care. He's there for the right reasons, and I think that's really, really powerful. And I think, again, I do start to believe that Nigel's ego did get ahead of him. I do think that got in the way. I genuinely think that he wanted the limelight all on him, and Rupert Lowe, he was just getting far too popular. I've seen it so many times. But I want to see a poll through here. I've seen a lot of polls online with regard to how people are thinking and how people are, discussing this whole situation. So let's do a little poll in here into the chat and see if people still back reform after this spat. Do you back reform still after all of this? And let's just have a little look from our perspective here on the channel and see what people are actually thinking. And I'm going to head to the live chat, guys, and get some comments from all of you. But do just tick something in that poll and let me know. The Muser says Farage just wants to be a politician. He doesn't care in what party. He needs to sack Mohammed. I think you're Yusuf, of course, Yusuf. Now, a lot of people are pointing at him. Now, this has come apparently him. He was the one that reported this to the police. Why did it need to be reported to the police? And I also saw a poll, I think Maya from 2CTV, he put a poll up on his own X, and actually the results were pretty astounding. And you could probably say, well, he has a certain audience and we're all kind of like-minded. But he put a poll up last night. And he said, do you have faith in Zia Yusuf as Reform UK chairman? And 9% said yes, 91% said no. That's like crazy. And I mean, a lot of people did vote in this poll as well. And whilst it doesn't speak for everybody that is backing of reform, it is in the same, Tusi has an audience that are probably predominantly all reform supporters as such. So it's a good representation, I suppose. Someone with a real big following doing a poll like that. And yeah, as stated, the results are pretty astounding. 91% said no in terms of Zia Yusuf as a Reform UK chairman, and 9% said yes. That is a sucker punch. A lot of people do not have faith in Zia Yusuf. And to be fair, I thought he was a guy that spoke a lot of sense at some point. But again, this is just a little bit weird for me. Dreamer says, to be honest, I think if Robert Jenrick became leader of Tories, he will win a lot of votes. Now, I do stand on that. Now, some people say that he is a fraud. People say that he's a fraud or whatever, and don't necessarily believe him as such. People say that he was woke or something like that. But what he speaks publicly and puts his name out there is sometimes a message I can resonate with in terms of Robert Jenrick. I do think the Tories did make him not necessarily a mistake, but I think they would have resonated with a lot more people if Robert Jenrick was the leader. And then if Robert Jenrick was the leader and then Rupert Lowe had joined after being suspended from reform, then that could have been a different animal. Whilst it is a massive Tory rebrand, and people probably still wouldn't believe it, but if they had Robert Jenrick as a leader and then Rupert Lowe joining, that would be absolutely bonkers. And I think a lot of people would probably pivot back to the Tories because of that. But I don't know. I mean, that's not a reality right now. Kemi Badenoch, of course, is the leader of that party, and Reform is currently suspended at this moment in time. Bowser says, where Reform stumbles and shies away from difficult conversations, I will say it as it is. They do. Well, certain MPs do. I think Rupert Lowe is speaking sense. I think he did try and have these difficult conversations, and he was someone that was very vocal. He spoke his mind a lot, Rupert Lowe did. And if for this work that we're doing here on British Stand, I do tune into a lot of the debates that happen, and it's always Rupert Lowe actually asking the questions of the people's interest. Most questions are crap, right? Most questions are PC, bullcrappy questions that aren't really hard-hitting towards Labour MPs. But Rupert Lowe, time and time again, and Lee Anderson occasionally as well, Nigel Farage has, but predominantly Rupert Lowe, when it comes to questions, asks the real hard-hitting questions, the ones that the British people are actually wanting. He's almost a voice for the British people, in my opinion, Rupert Lowe, for sure, 100%. Jack Spring says, I won't vote either way. If we vote yes, we endorse what Farage did. If we vote no, it will give the Tories and Labour ammunition. Exactly. I mean, it's where you stand. And this is where this whole conversation over the last, couple of weeks we've discussed about dividing the right, dividing this movement. And it's just another thing just to whack in there to divide everybody, because you don't want there to be a split of these people, this gathering, this movement, because then other parties will benefit, and then you'll have the likes of Labour getting re-elected and having the likes of the Tories getting re-elected despite their rebrand. We know that it's not necessarily the right thing and not going to get our country back unless there was a different leader, of course, of that party. But yeah, it does put you on the fence a little bit, certainly after this. I mean, I've been questioning Nigel a little bit, but this just rubbed me the wrong way massively, really, really did. And I'm glad. Well, I'm not glad, but I'm glad I'm not the only one that feels that way. There's a lot of people that are questioning the idea of it, which is it's bad for reform, and it's bad for this movement, and it's good that we're still it's not good again, but we're still 4 years away from a general election. A lot of things can change till then, but you know, it's still a hard one to get over. It will be a hard one to get over. Really, I think this will leave a lasting smell for quite a while, which is unfortunate for reform considering their current momentum. Yusuf is looking to be the next leader, and he saw Rupert's popularity. He didn't like it. Probably. That's probably exactly true. It probably is completely true. He was getting too popular for them. I think he was, because I think everybody you ask, I know Nigel Farage has got a lot of following on social media, but I started to see a pivot, especially over the last sort of couple of months since Labour were elected. I said the pivot happen, where a lot of people were saying, no, Rupert Lowe is the guy. Rupert Lowe is the guy. And I mean, Elon Musk's endorsement of him. You know, Elon Musk has came out very vocally about Rupert Lowe as well. So yeah, there might be a little bit of jealousy there. Amazing Grace True says, love Rupert Lowe, only supported reform due to him as he says it how it is. Mohammed Yusuf needs to go, as with Farage's ego. Before I consider voting reform, my membership has been cancelled. And you're not the only one. There's loads of you. There's absolutely loads of people that are in the same boat as you. And you just have to go over to X and just see the sheer volume of people that have said they cancelled their membership, which could be pretty frightening. And I don't know if there's a little ticker still on the Reform website. I'll have a little look to see their memberships, because there was that ticker going up and down. Let me have a little look if they still have it on their website. But they had a little ticker that was saying how many members they had and all of these kind of things. So I don't know if it's still there, but it would be really interesting to see if there was the volume of numbers going down that people actually seen. And to be fair, on their website I can't see anything just yet. Oh, here, click here to the live tracker. Here we go. Let's have a look. If I can get it up, then I'll share it with you guys. But let's see. To be fair, I can't even remember. I know they passed 200,000 at one point, but I don't know how many they were. So they're on two. See, I don't know the official stats on where they were at, but they on the live ticker it says 219,632 members. So whether they had more than that, I don't know. But that's where they are at currently at the time of recording this live stream. Let's have a little look at some more live chats, guys. Lena says, this brings me into a perfect bit about UKIP. Definitely looking into UKIP after this. Well, I still feel UKIP is still very, very small, and I don't think by 2029 we'll have enough to sort of run for a general election. You remember, you've got to have a party that's the most likely to get the country back. And you don't want to be giving it to the power back in the hands of Labour, most certainly, but then the Tories at the same time. So UKIP is an interesting one. I seen the leader of UKIP came out yesterday very publicly and said, look, Rupert Lowe, you're always welcome to join us. Whether he would do that as such, it remains to be seen. But again, I still don't think that they have a realistic chance at this moment in time on really winning a general election by 2029. Good point, Bluebell says. Memberships won't go down because it's for 12 months. Good point. I just made myself look like it, I suppose. Yeah, they were not going to show the going down, are they? Cancellations, 12 months, you're absolutely right. So that will be that. Kim says, Rupert is far more aligned with Trump than Nigel is. Elon knows that too. I think Elon's a good judge of character. Genuinely, he's a good judge of character. And he came out very vocally and said, you know what, I'm not too sure on Nigel Farage being the leader of Reform. And as I said, he did vouch for Rupert Lowe, which was quite a big thing. I Speak the Truth says, I don't trust Jenrick. He's dodgy. Believe me, I was born with a gift. You're not the first person I've seen that have said that, to be honest with you, mate. You're not the first person that said that. I've seen a lot of people say the exact same thing. Maybe I'm not too clued up in terms of his history, but I don't know. Sometimes the things that he says does resonate with me. He kind of speaks effortlessly on the subjects. But, you know, I mean, you'd have to judge it. But again, I suppose I'm not as clued up as everybody else. Yeah. Here we go. Here's someone that's saying this. So Janet said, still voting for Reform, only hope, if any, for our country. Exactly. I mean, I think a lot of people do agree with you with that as well. I mean, I can see it in the poll already. And whilst, again, this doesn't speak for every single person in the world, I asked the question, do you still back Reform after this? And 58% of you said no, and 42% of you said yes. So again, as stated, it doesn't speak for everybody and everybody who backs Reform, but certainly, I suppose, can give a decent indication as there is a bit of a revolt. There is a bit of a split within the movement, which is not good at all. It really isn't good at this moment in time. But yeah, guys, anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. A little bit of a chat with regard to it all. As I said, still kicking off, and this will probably rumble on for another good few days and weeks. But as stated, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all later. Take care, look after yourselves.